Cerebral Cinema and the WON Radio Network present to you Superwoman. Yes, Superwoman, the dynamic crime fighter. Superwoman, the champion of justice. Superwoman, who in truth is mild-mannered Chicago news reporter Emily Nesbacher. Emily arrives home late after her demanding day job. Hardly any of her time was spent not working. Even her private life was one of constant activity. Through sagging eyes, Emily discovers a particular door in her apartment has been forced open, its hinge broken.
Bernadette? Why is your cage open? Where are you?
Emily scans the cage for signs of her bird, Bernadette tweeters.
Bernadette!
The canary is gone. In its place is a litter of mangled feathers scattered around the cage. On the cage floor, there is an inscription that looks to have been carved in a hurried fright with Bernadette's talons. It reads, "I ta-ta-ta." Meanwhile, across town, in a dingy studio apartment, petty thug Margot Strong has just settled down for the night when she hears a pesky meow coming from outside her window. She springs from her bed and runs to the window holding a baseball bat, gritting her teeth in a grin.
Here, kitty kitty, I got a surprise for you.
Margot looks out the window. Perched on top of the fence across the back alleyway is not a cat, but the silhouette of a woman, dressed like a cat, meowing at the crescent moon. Margot raises the bat and launches it at the woman. The bat strikes the fence, yet doesn't disturb the cat lady, who continues to meow at the moon.
Darn Catwoman. Leave me alone, won't ya?
Margot turns from the window and grabs the rocket launcher her beloved probation officer had given her as a probational anniversary gift.
Disgusting feline. You should have stayed wherever death had sent you. You're just a large, fuzzy rodent. Scat! I mean it. I'm gonna go crazy and rip you to shreds. I'll tear your throat out. I'll go to the pound and steal every mutt and mongrel there and set them free in your alley. You'll be hunted down and massacred.
Margot grabs the ends of her pigtails and stuffs them into her ears. She screams and stamps her feet. But the call of the cat continues late into the night.
Hello.
Emily?
Jasmine?
I need you to come over. Immediately.
It's midnight.
No problem. Just take the next available flight.
Maybe my arms are too tired.
Come on, it's not like you're a bat that needs to flap its wings. Throw on your cape and leap over here.
What's wrong?
I have a mouse problem.
Get a cat.
I may have an even bigger cat problem.
Now changed into her Superwoman suit, our hero runs outside and leaps into the air. And within seconds, Superwoman arrives at Jasmine's apartment building. Jasmine had left the window open for her, an entrance just for her like a second home. Nowhere else could she fly in through a person's window.
Ugh.
The place is plastered with countless bodies of little rodents. Not a single mouse squeaks or stirs in its place, for every one of them is dead.
Jasmine, where are you?
Over here.
What happened?
Apparently, some feline has been working overtime.
No cat could do this.
No cat could, and no woman would. But if nature were to combine the two, you might find a creature capable of anything.
All the Catwomen I know are dead. I threw the last one at a train.
Selina Kyle, the most notorious talking cat.
Selina has risen from the dead before. It's possible. But why would she do this?
To torment me. I am one of her killers, as are you.
Oh, that would explain Bernadette.
Your canary?
She's missing. I suspected foul play. Her cage was broken into tonight with some bloody mangled feathers in her place.
The work of a cat.
Like the crime scene right here.
Selina is sore at us for taking at least 2 of her lives.
How many more have been taken? And who took them?
Margot Strong took 1.
Then we should assume she has also heard from the late Miss Kyle recently.
I've kept a close watch on Strong, and she's been keeping a low profile lately. No doubt she wouldn't want anything to do with Selina.
Margot's far worse than Selina ever was. So what do you have in mind calling me over here?
To help me track down each of Catwoman's killers. I want to know how many of us there are.
Fewer than 9. 9 lives are all felines ever get.
We should gather some clues. Our mystery isn't who killed who. Our mystery is whether she's dead or not.
Maybe we could get the Bat Whistler in on this.
Why on earth would we do a thing like that?
He's the world's greatest detective.
Like hell? I'm the world's greatest detective. Before I came around, all the Bat Whistler ever did was run around with that boy wonder what's-his-name, punching overly ambitious trick-or-treaters and their Goombas in the face.
You're a bit of a cynic, aren't you?
I was once beaten and crippled by the least amusing clown who ever lived. And before that, I'd read a lot of Mark Twain in college. You know, the later, life is meaningless, free will is an illusion, and Satan is among us stuff. Plus, not all of us can fly around fighting for truth, justice, and Frank Capra's American way.
Wow, I thought kryptonite sucked the life out of me. It's nothing compared to a college grad.
I'll check in on Strong. I want you to talk with Madame Greenthumb. Her and Selina have a rough history, too. See if any of her prized flora have fresh claw marks.
Phew, this is not a cat-friendly neighborhood. Roger, over and out. Up, up, and away!
Superwoman turns to the window and leaps out, leaving Jasmine with a smirk on her face.
Did she seriously just say up, up, and away?
Superwoman enters the greenhouse of Madame Greenthumb's flora. It is dark and quiet. The plant life has gone to bed for the night. Superwoman is relieved at that. Every time she'd been there on previous visits, the flowers hadn't been too pleasant.
Be careful not to wake them. They don't like intruders any more than I do.
Superwoman turns around and discovers Madame Greenthumb standing beside a giant Venus flytrap. Greenthumb looks surprisingly happy to see Superwoman, which means she has something malicious in mind.
I can take a wild guess why you're here. You've come to admire my latest spawn. Her name is Selina.
Greenthumb places a hand on her Venus flytrap and caresses it lovingly. The monstrous flower jumps to life and lets out a sound Superwoman wasn't expecting. It's a meow, followed by a cat's hiss.
What is that thing?
My darling companion, my pride and joy. You better not harm her or I shall harm you.
You've crossbred a flower with a cat?
Not quite. Its feline attributes aren't my doing. When I killed Cimony Carter, I never dreamt her soul would possess one of my babies.
Selina isn't dead. She broke into my house last night and murdered my canary.
That sounds like Selina.
But I killed her too.
As did Margot Strong. I got a call from Margot tonight. She was hysterical. Said she was being tormented by the apparition of a pesky Catwoman.
So Selina has returned to each of us in a different way.
Well, I prefer her as a flower. But I never was a people person. Perhaps if I kill you, you'll also return to me in flora form.
Please don't. I'd rather not be a flower. In fact, I'll get going now. It seems like Selina hasn't visited here. Almost doesn't need to with your lovely plant.
As Superwoman turns to leave, Selina's vines shoot forth and coil around her legs. Superwoman strains to break free, but the thick vines are too firm. Selina hisses and pulls Superwoman nearer. Greenthumb watches the struggle with perverse delight. Superwoman leaps up and attempts to fly away, her legs still held firm by the vines. The monstrous plant bares its teeth and hisses. Superwoman glares back at Selina with a hint of remorse.
I'm sorry, Greenthumb.
2 red lasers shoot out from Superwoman's eyes, striking Selina with lethal force. The plant explodes into oblivion. Greenthumb screams in bloody murder.
No!
Superwoman breaks free and flies for the nearest exit, and Greenthumb is left alone to mourn the tragic death of a loved one. Superwoman heads back toward Jasmine's apartment when she receives unusual transmissions directly in her mind. An urgent feminine voice is heard.
Superwoman, come quick. I need your heroics tonight.
Who is this?
This is Spider Agent 008. I heard what went on with you and Green Thumb. I have her greenhouse bugged.
Classy. I'll head over now.
She takes a few seconds to notice the serene atmosphere surrounding her. She thinks of how her life is nothing but one chaotic episode after another and how nice it would be if she ever took time to enjoy the peacefulness of nature. She could fly anywhere if she ever chose to take a vacation, right now. Why bother finding Catwoman again? Why bother with any of these villains? Superwoman wasn't always so concerned about justice. But a few personal tragedies had turned her into a crime fighter. That, plus her extraordinary powers giving her the dutiful sense of responsibility. Her vacation would have to wait. Suddenly, Superwoman is struck with a violent force. A bit shaken, Superwoman stumbles to her feet and looks around. She spots in the distance an army jeep barreling towards her. Superwoman recognizes the driver as ex-General Ballard Hawks, a disgraced military general and war profiteer. Foolishly, she had flown over his private military base. The ex-general was always ready for a fight. Why wouldn't he be? He has unlimited time, army surplus, and money on his side, so he rarely suffered defeat in a battle. Suddenly, our hero feels faint and nearly tumbles over. She feels nauseous. Upon looking down at her uniform, she finds it is covered in green dust. Kryptonite! The missile that hit her must have been filled with it. There would be no easy escape for her. She'd have to take part in Hawks' challenge. The jeep arrives and Hawks leaps out. He is pretty spry for an 87-year-old.
Good evening, ma'am. How are you doing this fine night?
I was doing all right until you shot me out of the sky.
You mean my sky? Over my land? You have no clearance to be in this area. You are an intruder, and you are now my prisoner.
But you will let me fight for my freedom, I know. We've been through all this before.
Freedom is the one thing worth fighting for. I myself should be in prison right now, but there aren't any official enforcers of the law who dare to arrest me. No one can challenge General Hawks.
You mean ex-General Hawks. I don't believe the government recognizes your rank anymore.
On my property, I am the government. Anyone who questions that here must challenge me to the death.
You're a lunatic.
I'm a rebel, my own man. I answer to no one but myself, and you answer to me. No longer can you be considered an American woman. From this moment forth, you are a Hawksian woman. Now, let me see your war face, woman!
Superwoman crosses her eyes and sticks her tongue out at the militant madman. Hawks lets out a single laugh.
Ha! Defiance! I like that in a subordinate. You are indeed a Hawksian woman. Tough, sarcastic, yet still living in a man's world. Today happens to be my late great-granddaddy's birthday, and it is a good one. Even better than last year, when I got to kill that IRS man.
Superwoman looks at Hawk's feet and sees the ground covered in tiny black spiders. The spiders crawl onto the general's feet and up his legs. Hawks looks down and sees the spiders.
Ah! Holy Mother of Mussolini! What in the name of Hirohito is going on?
Spiders, General! Hundreds have just invaded your country. You gonna challenge them all to a fight?
Oh, you can bet your patriotic posterior on it.
Hawk starts dancing around, trying to relieve himself of the eight-legged intruders. As they reach his upper torso, Hawks lets out a deafening scream.
I surrender! Call off your troops!
They aren't mine, General.
Hawks dives to the ground and rolls around in the dirt. Superwoman looks down on him with pity. She then looks around and notices a small pond off in the distance. She goes to it and enters the water, washing the kryptonite dust off of her costume. Superwoman then returns to the General, who is still rolling around in the dirt. Superwoman puts her lips together and blows at the spiders. The tiny invaders fly off the conquered General, freeing him from their assault. Hawks lays flat on his back, defeated and exhausted. Superwoman chuckles.
Let me see your war face, General.
Hawks musters up just enough strength to give Superwoman a scowl, telling her perfectly loud and clear that he will someday have his vengeance on her and the entire world. Superwoman responds by crossing her eyes and sticking her tongue out. Our story picks up as Superwoman enters the underground lair of Spider Agent 008. The only entrance to the lair was normally secured, but Superwoman had been invited there tonight, so she finds the door open. Still, she must remain cautious entering a villain's lair.
I wonder what Spider Agent wants from me.
She walks down a long corridor that leads into the earth. After reaching the end of the corridor, Superwoman enters a humongous room filled with computer towers, monitors, and screens. Spider Agent 008 stands atop a raised platform on the other end of the room, looking down at her guest.
Greetings, Superwoman. Welcome to my spider cave.
Impressive. Even more so than the last time I was here.
When was that? I fail to remember.
A couple years ago. It was when you'd kidnapped Senator Ingham's wife, daughter, and secretary/mistress. When he came to pay you the ransom, he brought me along as security. You were just starting out then. A small-time assassin.
Small time, huh? Do you recall what happened to our dear senator?
Yes, you successfully killed him, but only because his wife and daughter helped you. When they found out he'd only intended to pay ransom for his secretary, they wanted him dead as much as you did.
And you failed to protect him.
Your spiders got in my way. All 3 million of them.
That was a long, long time ago. Barely worth remembering. My ambitions have since grown. My spiders now number in the billions.
I met a few tonight, attacking ex-General Hawks. Thanks for that. They all work for you?
They bow to me.
And who do you bow to?
Whoever's offering the best pay for the latest job.
Senators, diplomats, or might I even assume royalty? Tell me, who gets the heftiest prices on their heads?
Pop stars, athletes, and celebrities. Mostly because I make those look like accidents, and their lethal addictions are never cheap. So my asking price is much higher.
Well, assassins rarely invite crime fighters over to brag about their thriving careers. So, what exactly am I doing here?
My spiders have been acting agitated lately, ever since I killed Selena Kyle.
You too?
Yep. Hashtag killer buddies. And my spiders, they're just as guilty. From what I heard from you and Jasmine, then you and Madame Green Thumb tonight, I figured Selena must be spooking my spiders as well.
You have both Green Thumb and Jasmine's places bugged?
I have most every place bugged, including bus stop restrooms. You just never know where the next best bit of information will come from.
Then you must know a lot of secrets.
I know your true identity, Superwoman, and I don't care. Your personal life is depressingly uneventful.
Amen to that.
In fact, I think if I were to kill you tonight, there would be very little significance lost by it.
Why would you kill me tonight?
A recent theory I've developed would be the reason behind my murderous actions. I've concluded that since Catwoman is dead, she must be a ghost. She is also a criminal, and you are a crime fighter. So if you were also a ghost, you could fight her and make her go away in her realm. Therefore, I must kill you now.
At once, Spider Agent 008 pulls a lever at her side, causing dozens of vents to open all over the room. A sea of tiny spiders flood into the cave. They rush toward Superwoman. More spiders drop from the ceiling, landing on top of her. She is quickly covered from head to foot with creepy creatures. Even her superhuman strength cannot overcome the incredible onslaught. They stick to her and weigh her down. They wrap their webs around Superwoman, imprisoning her like a feeble housefly. Then the bites. She feels them sinking their teeth all over her body, injecting some kind of paralysis poison into her. Glancing at them, she sees some of their number are coated in something glowing green. More kryptonite! She needed to look into this black market dealing of her greatest weakness. She sinks to the floor, suffocated with oncoming terror and claustrophobia. The apparent climax of a heroic career is within sight. Superwoman nearly loses her mind to the dread engulfing her entire being. It's all over, she thinks. The webs cover her eyes, all goes black. In this chaos, Superwoman begins hearing some surprise sounds. A series of purrs and hisses ringing in her ears. The spiders retreat, evidently in fear. The ghostly calls of a deceased cat lady have saved Superwoman from a webbed grave. Spider Agent 008 glares down at Superwoman.
See how tormented they've become. Selina haunts them without mercy. Curse her soul.
Superwoman doesn't respond, nor does she move. If the clever kryptonite paralysis combo wasn't enough, the spiders have also entrapped her in their webbing. Spider Agent 008 smiles in victory. Within minutes, the evil assassin has Superwoman's nearly lifeless body dangling over a bottomless crater filled with dark water. Spider Agent 008 lets go of the web, letting her victim plummet far below into the water. A deep hiss draws Spider Agent 008's attention away from the sinking heroine. She turns and is shocked to see a ghostly figure standing just inches away. A translucent skeleton with whiskers, cat eyes, and ears, and patches of fur reaches out for Spider Agent 008, who instantly falls back in fright into the pit below. During the villainous fright and fall, the cold water has washed off the kryptonite powder and restored Superwoman to her senses just enough to begin loosening her web binding. Superwoman sees Spider Agent 008 floating above her and swims toward her enemy. The two ladies meet up and begin to brawl. Webs shoot out from Spider Agent 008's fingertips and wrap around Superwoman's neck, squeezing tightly until it is nearly choking her. Superwoman pummels Spider Agent 008 in the ribs and chest. Superwoman then grabs her foe by the arms and tosses her up and out of the pit. Spider Agent flies through the air and lands with a thud onto the deck overlooking the crater. Superwoman also flies up to the deck, but lands gracefully on her feet.
That was unpleasant.
Selina was here. She threw me in after you.
Then I have her to thank.
She's a demon. Don't leave me here. Take me away.
Spider Agent 008 leaps to her feet and throws her arms around Superwoman for protection.
Fly away! Fly away!
Superwoman rolls her eyes and raises her arms. She flies up out of the sinister lair, taking her crazed assassin with her. After dropping Spider Agent 008 off at police headquarters, Superwoman flies back toward Jasmine's apartment. She notices the first signs of dawn appearing.
I've been up all night. I really need to start sleeping during the nighttime. That's when all the weirdos are awake and I have to deal with them.
Superwoman was especially tired after her encounters with a maniacal florist, an insane ex-general, and an evil assassin. Who wouldn't be? The morning sun emerges on the horizon as Superwoman re-enters Jasmine's apartment and finds her friend in her usual place. Jasmine sits in front of over a dozen or so computer screens, watching them with dedicated intent.
Find out anything interesting?
Selina Kyle was reincarnated as giant flesh-eating flower, but I was forced to destroy it. No worries, she'll live again.
Sooner than you think. Take a look at this.
A news headline appears on Jasmine's main computer screen announcing the engagement of local socialite Selina Kyle to Prince Rurik. Superwoman drops her jaw.
Holy matrimony!
Be sure to tune in next week for the latest and greatest adventures of Superwoman! Same time, same network. Cerebral Cinema hopes you have enjoyed this movie of the mind.